No
Okay.
audio.
Yeah.
We roll
Yeah.
audioless.
I guess everybody. So it never fails when I do this show. Guys, I'm sorry. I did the intro, went through all this stuff, and no intro as usual. That's me. Now I got it. I got it fixed now.
We're good. We got audio now. So you just like want to re-kick it off, or just like talking heads, like blah, 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 blah.
Hey, and welcome to the show. That's all I'm
There
going
you
to
go.
do. Hey, we're going to talk about Google Photos tonight, and obviously Heather is not here this week. I'm going to do the short version. I do this every week. It never fails. I always fail at the beginning, so I'm just telling you, Scott. This is Scott Peachey. Folks, this is Scott Peachey. Scott Peachey is here to join us, to help me. Scott is a top contributor for multiple products, from what I understand. But he's going to talk about a little bit about that, and he's also going to talk about his show. Go ahead, go for it.
So I am a top contributor with Pixel and Nexus. I like this much better. Like I can get a better intro this time. I feel like I was a little rusty that time. This one was a little bit much more smoother. I am a top contributor for the Nexus line and the Pixel line. I was a while for Google Photos, but simply it's hard to maintain that level when you're also trying to kind of kick up a YouTube channel. So shameless plug for our YouTube channel is youtube.com/ technically speaking. You can also find it under my name, SCOTTPEACHEY, Fuzzy Fruit with an EY on the end. That's kind of how we do everything on our YouTube channels. We try to do reviews for consumer electronics, as well as DIY, more geared towards YouTube-ish, kind of that type of feel.
That's cool. I like that too. I think that's I think that's good though. I think that's a better way, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also because like I have this really big fanboy mentality for all things Google. I try to figure out one of their products better than most, and that one probably is Photos. But even I am not as well versed as some of like the super duper product experts, but I try to like boil it down to a level where people are like, okay, yeah, I got it. I know exactly what we're trying to do. And that's kind of what I've tried to do with some of the videos I've made on the Photos that's on YouTube right now.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And you did mention your show though, right? I mean, I'm going to make sure that you get that plug in for your show.
Yeah, absolutely. YouTube.com/technically speaking. We'd have a live show every single Friday with me and my colleague, Greg, the bearded wonder. He has the most glorious beard compared to mine. I cut mine a little short last week, so it's still trying to come in. But yeah, our live show, we tend to talk about some real high level things that happened in the last week. We typically do some type of weird fun game where we try to make each other look like a fool, and usually I win. And then after that, we do something called a State of the Union, where we talk about more of a long form discussion. I think last week we didn't have one, or maybe we did, but the last one we had was the stream.
Oh,
we did.
Talk about the fight. Talk about the fight.
That's still going to come up this week because Greg shouldn't have bet me when he said that, it's going to be Conor McGregor.
I love it.
So that will happen definitely this week. But there's been some conversations about maybe we do a State of the Union on YouTube, but I don't know. We usually don't figure that out until about 45 minutes until the show starts.
I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to go to me, and then I'm going to give you a second to get your screen share going. But folks, he's going to talk about Google Photos. He's going to bring up some stuff and talk about some things. I know I think it was actually his last video where he compared kind of Google Drive and Google Photos. And so he's going to talk about that a little bit, talk about the difference of the two and why and how and where to use that and that kind of thing. So as soon as you get screen share taken care of, I'll pop over to you. Folks, anybody, if you have any questions on Google Photos, I know Richard already put one out there, so we'll get that in at some point.
Yep.
We will for sure, but I'll get back to that. Down at the bottom, green button.
Yep, I'm on my way. Just want to make sure I got everything. So let's go to Photos. Let me know when y'all can see it. I think you probably can now.
Yeah, we're getting ready to right here. Give it a second to pop over to that. It should.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I know. There we go.
There we go.
Yep.
So obviously you'll start to see that I have a ton of pictures of my kids. And so, yeah, right here, this is my youngest. That is Colette. This is my oldest. That's Gigi. And that's my son, Bryson. So yeah, we'll just get that out of the way. All I selfishly have the cutest kids on the face of the planet. So sorry for all those other folks, but then again, everybody has to say that about their own kids.
That's
Some
right.
of the most common things that I've seen with photos, um, one of the most common things right off the bat, and you don't have to actually see anything to do this, is, hey, I'm running out of drive space. I have you know, you get 15 gigs for free, and I have 300 megs of space left. What in the world do? I have all these pictures that I thought I had free unlimited storage. So let's
Right.
briefly talk about what in the world does that free unlimited storage for Google Photos actually mean. So
Very common question too. I'll be
super,
honest.
super common question, right? So if we go to our settings menu, so photos.google.com/settings, there's two things that you're going to see right at the top of the page. There's something called high quality, and there's something that's called original. In order to get the free storage, you must select the high quality. Now, a lot of folks are asking, well, what exactly does high quality mean? Well, they essentially compress the photo down from its original file size
Mm,
to something that's equivalent of about 16 megs. So that's still not a very small photo either. That's still a big photo in terms of quality. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I have behind you or behind me
well, we
that would
can't see that part anyway. All we see is the screen.
right,
So
right. I'm trying to think of like from a photo perspective.
I see
If
what you're saying.
you're not going, like, if you're trying to make poster size photos,
Hmm.
high
Hmm.
quality is not what you need because
Right.
that would compress it down too much. But if you're looking for things as simple as 5x8s, 8x10s, you're
Right.
going to you probably won't even know a difference. I would be stunned if you could. Now that
Hmm.
works for the majority of folks. That
Hmm.
free high quality, that gives you an unlimited amount of storage. So the two caveats is, remember, they're going to compress those photos down. That's the first bit. And then the second one, they have to be uploaded through photos.google.com. So now when you do that, we'll go back here, right in the upper part right here that you see, there's something that you can search, create and upload. That's where you upload your photos. If you want to maximize the free unlimited storage, you must upload through here. Period.
Right. You can't just, and what you're saying, and make sure I understand you completely,
Mm-hmm.
is you can't just put a photo in Google Drive and that'd be okay.
No, it will not be okay. Like,
Okay.
will it store the space? Absolutely, but that will count against your storage space for sure.
Got it.
That
Perfect.
is
And
that is something that it will count against your storage space. So,
quick
uh,
question. Mobile
sure.
as well. Is that menu that you were just at? Is that on mobile as well?
Yeah. So if you are in, if you happen to have Android or iPhone, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. When you open your Photos app, you
Mm-hmm.
should see what we're referring to as the hamburger menu in the upper left-hand corner.
Mm-hmm.
That'll pull in your information, and you go down to where it says settings, and then right there, the very first one is backup and sync. That backup and sync, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
see about a middle a third of the way down, where you can select high quality or you can select unlimited.
Got you. Perfect.
So yep, that's where you would have it. Now for those folks that are lucky enough to have a Pixel XL or a Pixel,
Right.
uh, your storage is unlimited regardless. You don't have to choose the high quality, but that's more of that was a nice to have when people bought a Google Pixel or a Pixel XL.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for everybody else, it's going to be a situation under backup and sync. You're going to see the ability to choose high quality or original.
Perfect.
So that's the probably the number one thing. So then after that, the next question is holy crap, I actually uploaded them all incorrectly. I uploaded them in original, or the original quality, and I'm out of drive space. What do I do? So you have a couple options. Depending on how you uploaded them, there's a really cool feature in Drive, and I actually did this with my last video, but I have to try to remember how I did it. Maybe it's actually within Photos. That's a great question. I can't remember how I did that with Drive.
What are you trying to do again?
You can actually, I'm trying to move this little window right here.
Mm-hmm.
Settings. Within Google Drive, you can actually say, hey, I've noticed that I've uploaded a whole bunch in the incorrect format. Okay, so if I upload them in the
Hmm.
incorrect format, I can say I want to actually restore those into the original settings. And it might actually be through the app. So bear
Makes
with me
it
while
make.
I'm doing that.
I think that makes sense too. If you think about it, it probably would come from the app itself because the app's the one that's doing that and given it the ability to do that. But I believe it's under settings. I think it's the
Yeah, I think
hamburger
you're,
menu and
yep,
settings.
hamburger menu and settings.
Yep.
Now, I don't necessarily do that because most of the time, what folks have run into is I didn't upload it that way. So now what do? I'm kind of stuck like Chuck, right?
Yeah.
So some folks don't necessarily know about Google Takeout. Now, Google
Mm.
Takeout is where you can go and download all of your data for all of your Google products. I believe it's takeout.google.com, and I'm going to verify that. Takeout.google.com. So if I go to takeout.google.com, it's going to show everything that I have in my own personal account, right? And now I want to download everything that I have in my particular photos account. So once I do that, I can download every single picture from my Google account. And once I do that, I can delete them from Drive because I already have a backup copy. And once I delete them from Drive, I empty my trash can and now I have got all my storage back. But that doesn't necessarily answer your question like, now what do I do? Oh, sorry about that. Last pass.
That's all right.
Now what do I do in the situation where I get them back on photos? Well, then you go back into actual photos, hit upload, and you find whatever
Wherever you
your
put them.
zip, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you're putting your zip file, and then you re-upload them. But remember, make sure that you change that upload quality to the high quality. It's a bit cumbersome. It's not very easy how Google has that set up, but that's the most efficient, fastest way for you to get exactly all your photos off of Google Drive
Mm-hmm.
and out so you maximize your space and then re-upload them under the free high quality.
Yep. And I think
It's a
that's
it's a
I think it's
one-time pain.
yeah, I think that's why they want you to I mean that's their way of getting you to pay,
Yeah, yeah,
for
absolutely.
more storage or something, I think.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. It again, it's a bit cumbersome. I wish they would have explained that a little bit easier in the beginning,
But they
but that
didn't.
wasn't.
And they
But they
don't.
didn't,
And
and
they
that's
don't.
okay.
Yeah.
But that's why it gives me something job security,
That's right.
something like that.
That's right.
So those are kind of the two biggie things.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there was a question about what happens if I want to delete from photos, but not delete. I'm trying to remember if the question was I want to delete it from photos.google, but not my device or not Google Drive.
Well,
Was that
that's interesting you brought that up. Yeah, Richard has one in here from he says one thing I want to know in Google Photos, is there a way to delete photos from Google Photos without having them deleted from my phone, Android, or delete from phone and not Google Photos, vice versa?
so? In terms of, I want to make sure that I answer this question a few different ways because
Mm-hmm.
there's a way to I I don't want to say delete, so I'm going to use a different word. Is I don't want those videos to show up in photos.google.com, but I still want them on my device.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to photos.google.com on your actual device, so this isn't one that you would necessarily see on the web, but
Mm-hmm.
inside your actual device, you want to make sure that you can say, hey, I want to choose which folders that I want to back up under. So under the settings, so the hamburger menu and on our actual Photos app, we go into there, we go into our settings again. You don't necessarily have to go into your settings because you can actually look at device folders as well. But I'm going to do it the old fashioned way because I'm stuck in my ways, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So go to your settings and then you'll actually see something backup and sync. And under that backup and sync, you'll see backup device folders. You can pick and choose. So there are some apps that
Which
I don't.
items? Like which items or where that you don't? Like
Yeah,
let's
so
say you don't want hangout pictures. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, that's another thing. Like I get Hangout messages that have pictures, or Allo messages, or Allo
Oh,
gifs,
okay, I got you.
images, or I do a lot of screen recordings, and I don't really want my screen recordings to be captured in my photo stream. So I can say, okay, within that app, that device folder, don't back it up.
Gotcha.
It's still on my device,
Gotcha.
but it is most definitely not in my photo stream. So I think that answers the first part of that question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's another option that you can do it. Let's say that you've already backed it up and you're like, oh man, I already left it in my photos, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want it to be visible when I go to photos.google.com. So what can I do? So on the screen right here, you'll see it. You can actually, I'm going to get rid of this one right here that says, of course I'm right, because I already know that I'm right. So I'm going to highlight that photo and say, what do I want to do with it? So in the upper right-hand corner, let me move this guy right here. The upper right-hand corner, there's this new feature that is recent. It's called Archive.
I love
So
it.
I'm going to archive that, and now it's gone. It's not in my photo stream, but it's also still there.
It's not
It's
gone. It's
it's
gone.
not it's not gone. It's just kind of it's in another location. Like I look at this as photos.google.com, my entire stream. But if I want archive photos that I don't particularly care, as you'll see here, is like right here, I take a ton of pictures for work as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to whiteboards, because I do a lot of whiteboarding at work. But I also will go through my photo stream and clean those up, because honestly, who cares?
I do the same thing.
Yeah, right. It's the exact same way. As like, so again, they're still there, they're still backed up and uploaded. I just don't want to see them. So
Yep.
that's another option that you have.
I
And you can do
leave.
that same thing on your
Yeah.
Photos app on your device.
Exactly. I leave photos of my grandbaby and food because that's my two favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
and
the way
then,
to
and
do
then
it.
and then archive all my work stuff. Or if somebody sends me like one of those memes down there or gifts like you have floating down
Yep.
there, I'll just archive it. I just archive all that because
Yeah.
I might want to use it, so I'll save it and keep it on there. So
That's the exact-
go to your archive. If you'll show them how to go to archive and see that.
So if I go my settings, I have an archive right here. I
Yep.
don't promise to see what's in here.
That's good.
As you
I
can
like
see, selfies of myself. I play the game Catan and Judge Judy because I love her. But you get the general gist. Is like,
Yeah, it's
okay,
awesome.
I got photos in here that I just don't necessarily want to see.
Yeah,
And now they're not in my stream.
that's perfect.
So what the other question, I think he said, what happens if I delete from Drive, but not from Photos?
Let me go back and just make sure. I just want to make sure that I get it right. The second part, let's see, he says, okay, so is there a way to delete photos from Google Photos without having them deleted from my phone, or delete from my phone and not Google Photos?
Yes. So when you're inside the app itself, on your device, and you've already backed them up, let's say that you took 3 photos when you were out and you've noticed that they're already uploaded, you want to make sure that when you're looking at that app, that you see that in the very, very tippy top of that app, there's a little cloud that says backup complete. Once that backup complete is done, you can highlight individual photos and select in the upper right hand corner the 3 little buttons: delete device copy. That will delete the actual picture from the device, but not from Google Photos. That's
Awesome.
the
That's
very,
a
very
great
nice thing.
question.
Yeah, and so then another way that you can do it, because selecting individual photos sometimes is really, really precarious.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I don't want to do that. When you swipe in your app, swipe in from that hamburger menu, and you'll see about middle of the way down, free up space. When you hit free up space, it's going to go out and say, hey, you got 46 items here that are already backed up that are on your device. You can go ahead and get rid of them. They're still safe. Don't worry about it. You hit remove, and you've already cleaned up all those photos, and you'll never notice a difference because they'll already be in your photos.google.com feed, but
Right,
they've already
right.
been backed up. So I literally just freed up about 25% of a gig just by doing that sitting here.
That's pretty awesome. That's
Yep.
great. Okay, so Richard, in response, I think let's see. He said, one, I have Google Drive unselected so pictures won't go there. And then the next one, he says, if I delete photo on the phone, it comes off of Google Photos too. I don't know if he's making a statement or.
Yeah. So if you don't have them backed up, yes, you're right. It will come off.
Okay.
It's very important that you have those backed up.
Right. Gotcha. And the last one he just added was, what if they are stored on my SD card in phone? I don't think it matters where it is, right?
No, it doesn't matter where it is.
I
No.
mean, it could be SD card or your phone's memory or whatever. It could be either
Yeah,
one,
because
right?
actually when you plug your like so when I plug my Pixel in, sometimes I'll actually get the whole the machine recognizes it as an SD card or a what is it /0 SD or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It should make no difference. I guess it would depend device to device or mothership to mothership.
I got you. I got you.
And Michael, I know you were asking me a question about albums. Albums,
Yes.
okay. So, common misconception is when let's say someone takes the copious amount of time that I'm in, Google Drive, and I just went on vacation to Tijuana, Mexico, or something like that, and I have 5,000 photos. I took hours and hours of time to get them all situated in nice folders, drop downs, whatever that might be in Drive. Do those correlate as albums and photos? The answer is no, they do not. And
Good.
they never,
Very clear.
yeah, at this point, they have no intentions of doing that. So when you take the time to do a nice hierarchical folder structure in Drive, assuming that Google Photos would recognize the name of that folder, potentially the name of that folder as basically an album, they do not do that. That is not how Google Photos and Google Drive interact with each other. Now, having that hierarchical folder driven might actually work in Drive, but that's not how it interacts in Photos. Within Photos, you can see it right over here on the left hand side, third one down, it says albums. So the way that Photos does it is you can select. So I'm going to select these 3 photos right here, of my kids, and say that I want to create an album. In the very upper part of the screen, you can say the plus sign, add to, or create new album, and it's going to create this album of just those 3 pictures. Now, I can add all kinds of photos to this album. I can all like so if I can pick, say I wanted to add it to furniture or this bachelor party that I went to or a trip
Mm-hmm.
to Hilliard that I did. I can add those 3 photos specifically to that album if I want, or I can create a brand new one.
You
The
can add
best
it to
part,
a shared album as well, right? If you already
you
have
can
a shared
absolutely,
album.
yep.
Yeah.
If you already have a shared album, which is really, really great, that bachelor party one that I showed you,
Yeah.
that was one that I started on my phone. And then we had 11 other guys adding photos to that.
Perfect.
And the only thing that you have to do to go to do that is when you go to your albums. So I'm going to go to albums and I'm going to select, this bachelor party that we went to. Trust me, there's nothing bad on this. I try, I very much made sure that the standard little share triangle that we have, we're going to get a nice link that we want to send it to somebody right there, and I can send that out as a text message, an email, a
That's
Google
awesome.
Plus post, or whatever it might be, and then everyone can start to add their photos to that.
That's great.
So if I had to make a recommendation, let's say that you really want a nice hierarchical structure to photos and folders within Drive and Photos, and you didn't really care too much about like the folder, or you didn't really care too much about the storage constraints,
Mm-hmm.
you could create an album inside of Photos, and then I have the right to, right here, I can download all of them, and it'll download into a zip file. Then I could move that over to Drive if I really needed that hierarchically driven folder structure.
That's cool.
Or if you come over here into Drive, so in Drive, you'll see this is the main root of my Drive. Within the Google app, or the Google Photos app, I've said I want to see a Google Photos folder. That is a mouthful to say. Wow. A Google Photos folder. So now it's going to break down every
Mm-hmm.
single month, every single year, and it's going to break down all the photos that I took. I can do my folder structure within here,
Mm-hmm.
and it will have no bearing at all on the photos that are within, Google Drive or Photos, the app.
Yeah, on the phone, exactly.
Yep. And I can share the folders this way if I need to. So the nice thing is by moving it, as long as you keep it in that root folder of photos right here, you can add copious amounts of folders as you need, and it would
That's
never hurt it.
that's awesome.
Yep.
Mark asked a question. He says, how do I resize a photo by pixels? Is that possible?
I am not. You know what? Let's just try it on the fly. Let's pick one. I'm going to pick mm, this right here. I was looking at a new studio mic, right? And so I want to edit. I don't know if you can actually do that by pixels, to be completely honest.
I don't think so. I think it's just a
I don't think
cropping
you
thing.
can. Yeah, it's just a cropping, very quick crop. I can do a rotation if I wanted, but I don't think you can actually do it by pixels. I think that I don't know if you could do that in Picasa or not.
There's that add-on. I know Scott. No, was it Scott? I can't remember his name now. What? My mind's going blank. I can't remember his
What,
name.
Greenstone?
No, not Greenstone. His buddy. I can't remember. Why
Mm,
can't I remember his name? I swear. It's not Scott though. But
was it
anyway,
Russ?
yeah, Russ.
Okay.
Russ Bookman. He actually showed that Google bought an app that you can use with this, and it does a lot more features, but on the phone.
Snapseed.
Yep, that's it. Snapseed.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
So I know that you can do it in Snapseed, but I don't know how to do it like natively on the
Right.
web. Like I was just trying to look.
Yep.
But Snapseed is a great, great app if you haven't had a chance to look at it. And there is a tremendous amount of potential with Snapseed. So I believe that you can actually do that. The bummer part is you're doing it all on your phone rather than doing it on kind of a big screen computer. So that's a bit of a bummer.
Okay. Okay.
But
I
it's
got
not
that.
the end of the world. It's still got, unless you want to pull them off and you can edit it in some other software and then re-upload them under high quality, making sure that they're free.
Right. So Richard says, my daughter didn't have Google Photos. I made an account for her and connected her iPhone to the laptop and copied the pictures from my phone to the Google Photos on the laptop. There you go. Lots of stuff there. Her
Okay.
phone had like 1,600 pictures. Took about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Her phone was maxed out on space. Now she has 8 gigabytes of space on the phone.
Okay.
I guess those are just comments. I'm not sure if he was actually asking a question there.
Yeah, no, that sounds like that was definitely one of the things that some folks said that, holy cow, I can take tons of pictures and it's not taking up space. My mom was the same way. My mom was consistently running right up against the storage constraints of her.
Mm-hmm.
She had a 16 gig iPhone, which was nowhere near how much she needed. She was like, I can't send this. I can't do this. It's, well, mom, you only have 105 megs left on your 16 gig iPhone, and that's the reason why. So, well,
So to put it on Google Photos and have it all dished down to Drive or whatever, or put it elsewhere.
and that's the nice thing is because more often than not, she's in a place that has internet connection. Very rarely is it a situation where she's trying to find something that she needs in photos where she doesn't have access to the internet.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that helps a lot.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of any other questions that I get.
How
Those are
about
the big ones.
sharing versus album? Remember, I asked you that at the beginning. I know I mentioned albums,
Oh,
but
the sharing.
sharing.
Yeah,
The
so
new
you can
sharing
only,
button versus.
I did find out you can only share automatically with one person. Now, that doesn't mean you can't share with everyone manually,
Mm-hmm.
but let's say that there's a situation where Google's face recognition is really, really good, and it is extremely, like, really good, creepily almost to a T. But like say every time I took a photo where one of my kids' images showed up,
Mm-hmm.
I want that photo to be sent to an album that my wife has access to. So I've now said, okay, I always want to share photos with this particular person. Let's say if it's a situation where I'm going to do sharing right here, right? I'm going to say, I really, really, really want to share, pictures of my dogs, pictures of my kids, always with my wife, and say like every single time that this thing happens, she needs to be the one that gets it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go to do this review. Yeah, that's my wife's email. So it's noticing that I always send these types of photos to this particular person. Okay. So it's already selected all of these photos that you see here. So 20 photos. Do you want to go ahead and send it to my wife? And it could just send it and it's automatically recognizing that.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it automatically right here, it recognizes that I took photos of my dad. He just got a new suit and he wanted this photo. It says, okay, I recognize that you have this person in your photos. Do you want me to go ahead and just send it to him? So
That's
that's just
awesome.
happens to be my dad. Yeah. And so it just depends. Like, and if you're saying like, oh yeah, I want some more, you can actually add more folks to the actual photos itself. But the automatic ones, it's you set it up
One
on your
person.
phone.
It's one
The one
person.
person one, you set it up on
Yeah.
your phone. You say every time this thing happens or these people appear in a photo, send it to my spouse or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
might be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to the day where they give you the ability to add more people, especially parents
Yes.
or
Yes.
grandparents, especially. That's the big one. Is like once you get to a point where, yeah, it's nice for someone like me who I would say I take a lot of photos of my kids. I want to send them to my wife. Yeah, but
Yeah.
what if it's a situation where I want to send those exact same photos to my wife, her sister,
Yeah.
her
Exactly.
mom, my mom? What
Or,
about
or
that?
my kids, when they start having grandkids, with my
Right.
grandbaby, I want to be able to share with my son this particular thing, or
Yeah.
every time something happens. Yeah, exactly.
So we're not there yet, but given kind of everything that Google does related to photos,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely going to be something that happens. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yep. All right. It says Mark says I love taking a lot of photos in succession, so they do those cool animated gifs. Yep.
Yeah, those are so super cool. Like, there, I'm trying to think. Like, there's some other really cool features that you can do with the app on your phone as well. If you take a series of photos, not even the same thing moving, but if you take a series of photos, it will automatically stitch and make a panorama for you,
Yeah, that's awesome. I love
which
that
is
kind of stuff.
crazy.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or even collage or whatever. That's fine. That's fun too. I like that.
That's the thing is like I got a really cool photo. I took a photo of downtown Columbus, Ohio, because that's where I'm from, and it stylized it and it made like this crazy black and white old timey photo. I was like, geez, that's a really good photo. Like
That's awesome.
I couldn't have even thought about stylizing it like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Richard says here, you can make any picture better by clicking on the pencil to edit and select auto, and to make it making photos a lot better in most cases. There you go.
Yeah. Also, another one of the things is as Google tries to enhance slightly, from what I gather, just about every picture that you take, they just want to try to make sure that it's a little bit better every time. They're not
Mm-hmm.
obviously they're not editing or anything like that. They're just trying to make some colors pop.
Right. Exactly. All right, that's the things that I wanted to ask you, because at least I got mine done, and it sounds like you got a lot of the guys out there their questions answered too, and I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. I'll stop sharing. I'll give the control back to you just to see
That's
if there's
cool.
any other questions or things like that. But yeah. No, this is the exciting things. Like I love this stuff. Like I'm happy that I can help out with photos because it's such a cool app. It's
It
such a
is.
cool the ability to do things like this. I remember back in the day we would sit down and let's go through all the photo albums. That would be cool. Let's go through the photo albums. That's something that we always did when I was younger. But now, because now you can, if everybody has a Chromecast,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like almost everybody has a Chromecast. You can actually cast your pictures
I
onto your
love that.
TV, and you can just swipe and basically say, okay, I want to look at photos from when my daughter was 3 months old. Okay, well, how long ago
Or
was that?
last Thanksgiving, or last
Yeah, last
it'll do
Thanksgiving.
that. Yeah, it'll do stuff like that. That's so
Well,
cool.
the big thing that we do is I will put a collage together for every kid's birthday. So I will create an album of
Nice.
things that happened in the last 12 months for that particular child. And then I cast it onto the TV during the birthday party. So it
That's
just
awesome.
rolls photos, basically how they've aged and how they've evolved over the last 12 months. And
That's so cool.
it's just a really cool little thing that we do, but it's such a cool app. It's such a cool feature. I'm really, really pumped that they made photos as awesome as it is.
I agree with you so wholeheartedly. Mark says, "Is there a way of training the Photos assistant as to what types of special collages, animations, or albums to make?" I don't think there's
Um,
a way to train.
Collages, no. It will recommend albums. So this is something that I've noticed is, let's say you go out for a weekend trip and you travel from, your home city. I'm going to make it up, from Columbus, Ohio to, Bellefontaine, Ohio, and then
Mm-hmm.
Toledo, Ohio, and then back to Columbus. They will put together it's, I don't honestly know rhyme or reason. Sometimes it'll put a collage together and say, hey, saw you took a trip. Let's call it a weekend trip in October, or as you guys saw kind of in that one particular, I'm going to screen share really quickly again so you guys can see it. There was a album that it made. Let me get to it. There's this one right here in the middle. These two right here in the middle, as a matter of fact. Actually, I can point to quite more than just the two. So let me know when you guys can see it. So there's one right here in the middle. It says trip to Hilliard, Sunday in Columbus, um, Sunday at the Ohio Expo Center and State Fair. All of those are ones that were automatically created for me this Thursday evening in Hilliard. I just took, 10, 15, 20 pictures, and it automatically said, hey, it's a Thursday. I recognize that you're somewhere, and it's evening time. So Thursday evening in Hilliard. This happens to be when my kids were doing, swim lessons. This Sunday in Columbus was my daughter's second birthday. This Sunday at the Ohio Expo Center and State Fair, I was at the Ohio Expo Center on a Sunday, and that was a dino exhibit. So it's just one of those situations where it does have the ability to recognize you're at this place, this is the day, and you've taken, from what I've gathered, the minimum is 10 photos.
Yeah, that's
so if you take those, I think that's like the magic number. Like when you have 10 photos, it's like, okay, clearly this isn't a one-off situation. This is you are at some place celebrating or doing something. Let me go ahead and recommend an album for you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Alrighty. I think that's it. I think everybody's got all their questions asked. This is about, we usually do about a 40-minute show to an hour, just depends or whatever, but we're at a good point. I think we've answered everybody's questions. Remember, folks, at the end of the show, we have a Google Plus community that is a paid-for community that we use, and we invite all those people in there, and we'll send the invite in there to come in and hang out with Scott for a little bit, as long as he can stick around. If he has to go, I get it. You can ask more questions there. We're going to pretty much end the show. Let me pop over real quick to... Oh, is it locking up?
Uh-oh.
All right. What's happening? Okay. There you go. I hope that was fun. I hope it worked out. I don't know if it came through or not. Hey, guys, wanted to tell you, sneak peek for next week. Next week, I am trying to line up another top contributor to come out and talk to us. So I'm going to work on that and see what I can do there, see if I can get someone to come out and join us again. I'm going to have all the links down at the bottom for Scott's his community and his YouTube channel, and go watch him live. And he does the live events also, like we do here. That he talked about at the beginning. We'll do that. Couple quick things in tech news this week. I think I only put 2 down here. Google Assistant is coming to an appliance near you. They're actually starting. There's a cool article out there, and they're starting to add it to appliances and things like that. So that's a cool article. I'll put that in the community first. The community always gets it first, and I pass along. I know I talked about TeamViewer last week, but there was a huge article out there, great article on TeamViewer and screen sharing using iOS and how easy it is. So that's kind of cool. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that, because I know last week we had that, talked about TeamViewer, so I wanted to add that to it. Scott, again, I just wanted to thank you very much for coming out and joining us this week.
Sure, man. This is great. I love this stuff.
Good.
Like, I wish I was an expert in more things to always be welcome back, but
well,
I know nothing outside of this.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I would love to have, we don't always just talk Google, but I know that you're the same way. You're kind of a Google geek like I am. But there's a lot of times you're talking about things. I would love to maybe pick your brain or have you on one time and show a little bit on how you do some of your videos, like a behind the scenes kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to give out any of that information, I'm just saying that would be a cool thing, and I think people would love to know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. No, I would love to do that. We're actually, so sneak preview for your folks that are on here is you're going to be on the show our show on a Friday in October. We're just working out the details of the dates and things like that. And plus, I'm not saying that we are, but we are going to be in the same town, same place
That's true.
in October and November. So you never know.
I love
Magic
it.
might happen.
I love it. I love it. Hey, thanks again for coming.
I appreciate it. Thanks, y'all.
Folks, we appreciate you guys, and I'll send the invite out, and thanks you everyone, and we will talk to you soon.